blah, blah, blah. I have gone ahead and created a fake Squarespace website for you. And I'm going to show you how to set up your podcast in Squarespace, because that, I think, is the most tricky one to work with. Pretty much everything else that I recommend is super easy, really intuitive, really simple, but Squarespace is not. However, lots of people like to use it because it's free. If they've already got a website with Squarespace, then you're not paying any extra for your podcast production, your podcast hosting. So this is how you do it. Let's just pick a blog page. Yeah, that's fine. We'll call it whatever. Maybe that one. And we'll call it my podcast. Actually, when you go to podcasts, let's clear out all of these. Maybe we'll leave one there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but when you go to settings, you will see all of this faffery. I would disable page until you're ready to launch. Obviously your SEO, everything that you would expect to see, and make sure you change SEO titles and stuff to make them correct. And then the most important bit is feeds, podcasting, and make sure that is on. So the title of your show, let's call it My New Podcast. Bluecraft. And then you'll put in your description here. You can see just underneath it says the person producing the podcast. It's used to group podcasts and Apple Podcasts and other apps. So basically, if you started 2 or 3 podcasts, people would be able to find all of your podcasts grouped under the author name, which is you. So in the description, my new podcast is a podcast about stuff I like, hosted by me. You would put your cover art here, and it helpfully says it needs to be a square image between 1400 and 3000 pixels in size and in PNG or JPEG format. You put your language in. You basically follow all of this through. I mean, I know it says standard default supports up to 100 episodes, but I always change it to this. Categories. Now, this is an important one. So your categories are where you would expect to find your podcast in Apple Podcasts. So let's say it's a podcast about just ramblings, then maybe you would put it in society and culture. And you can also put it in a subcategory like personal journals. And then maybe you want the second category to be in kids and family because that's your niche and that's your focus. You don't necessarily have to put it in a subcategory, but you can. I mean, there's a lot of things within that. Always put in 3 categories though, I would say. Let's go back to society and culture. So perhaps we've got 2, one category is main society and culture page. One is the subcat within society and culture of personal journals. And then the second category is kids and family. You can put explicit content or not, put in your copyright, which would be copyright of Lucy Bluecraft. You don't have to put anything. Contact details, I would not put anything here. You can. It's up to you really, but I wouldn't worry about that bit. And then you just hit connect. Obviously, we're not going to do that because this is not my new podcast, but you can do that at this stage.